Hey YouTube, it's Jake here, and this is our 8th tutorial. So this time we are gonna actually draw the background for our canvas. Now, first of all, before we get started, let's get rid of some things that we won't need. We won't need this right here, and we won't need this part right here anymore because we're getting rid of the button, that draw button, draw square button. We don't need that anymore. And let's also get rid of the draw square button right here. We may have to add another button later for testing, but it's okay for now. Now, in Google Chrome, if you want, for testing purposes, inspect element, it will tell you whenever something goes wrong. Hopefully, it usually does. Well, if it picks it up, yeah, it'll tell you if something goes wrong. So, while you're testing and something's not working, it might tell you why. So, now what we can do is we left off making a sprite, which is in my images folder right here. There's our sprite with our two jets and our bullet and our background. And what we're going to do today is put that background onto our canvas game. Okay, so what we need to do is first of all, since I'll get to that in a second, but okay. So what we have to start off with is we have to load an image, and to load an image, all you do is make a variable. I'm calling mine image sprite, and you have to make a new image. This will just tell the JavaScript program that we're going to be using a picture, which is our sprite file, and we now have to tell JavaScript where to grab that from. So what you can do now is make a new line and go image sprite dot source, src stands for source, equals. Now this is where yours may differ a bit. It depends. Right now I'm going to put images slash sprite dot png. Now I put images at the beginning here because my sprite file is located inside of my images folder, which is in my game area with this file and this file. So inside here, that's where my sprite is. If you guys put your sprite out here with these two files, then all you would need is that, and that'd be good. But since mine and probably some of yours are going to be in your images file folder, then that's totally fine to put it like that. Now after this line, we need another one, and we have to add an event listener. So we're going to do image sprite. This is the variable name. That's why we always reference it. Image sprite dot add event. Whoops, listener. Let's hope I spelled that right this time. Two brackets and that. Now we want to know when the image loads. So we put load. We're going to be calling a function. Let's just name this function for now. Draw background bg, and then we're going to put false like we always do. And then down here we're going to be creating a new function. And let's call this one draw bg because it has to be the same as what this is going to call right here. So basically, when the sprite or the picture file loads, it's going to call this function right here, and this function is going to tell the canvas to draw the background that we will tell it to. So in here, we are going to start off with ctxbg. Now, if you guys remember, it's been a while since we coded, but ctxbg is up here. This is the context of the canvas, and that's where we do all the manipulations. So ctxbg dot, now we want to draw an image, two brackets and a semicolon. Now this is the function built in to draw an image, and now we have a couple parameters. The first one is image sprite, and then we have about, let's see, six more numbers to follow. Now this is where it gets kind of confusing. Basically, this number right here, actually before we get to these two, I think I forgot two numbers. It's a long one. Okay, so I guess we'll start off by making two more variables that we need. Two variables that we need are var game width and var game height. Now basically these two variables will tell us, we can reuse these variables throughout the whole program. Basically they're going to be the width of our game and the height of our game. it's easy to keep it in a variable. So if we ever change the width of our canvas through here, it will automatically change these variables by this canvas bg.width and canvas bg.height. Whoops. Now basically this is referencing our canvas right here, and our canvas, if you remember, we referenced that through our HTML, which is right here. Basically this game width is picking up the canvas's width, which is right here, and this game height is taking the value of the height of the canvas. So that's where that comes from. And basically we need these two parameters in, I'll just do one at a time. So game height is the very last one, game width is second last, and then skip to, and I'm kind of doing it backwards, but whatever, game height and then game width, just like that. So you have 2 zeros here, 2 zeros there. Now basically I don't know how I'm going to say this. Let's just go in here now and we'll get to it. So var, we need to create a couple more variables just to make it easier for you guys to understand what's going on. So we need var src x, that stands for source x. Let's just put an equal sign for that for now. And then var source y equals. And then we also need var draw x and var draw y equals. Basically, the source x, we need to put source x here, source y here, draw x right here, and draw y right here. Basically, the source x and the source y come from the sprite, and that basically tells us where do we want to grab the picture from on the sprite. So what we have to do is open up your raw picture file for your background, and I'm just going to go like this, file, open, YouTube, HTML5, let's see, images in here, and Sprite, the raw file. Now if you guys remember, we put guides in here. Guides are going to help us decide where to grab the picture from and what the actual exact coordinates are. So here's our background, and we want to grab the background from the sprite using the canvas. Basically our starting position, source x is 0 and source y is also 0. Just like for the jet down here, our good jet, source x is 0, source y is 500 because that's the 500 pixel axis it's on. And for this jet, the source x would be 0 as well because of this, and 540y. Basically, that's what source x and source y mean. It's just the starting point of that picture on your sprite. So we know that our background starts at 0x and 0y. Now, this is where it's telling to grab the picture, our sprite. It's telling to start grabbing a picture from source x 0 and source y 0. Also, it's telling it to go from source x, which is 0, to game width. Now, if you guys remember, game width is 800 right here. And on our picture file, 0 to 800. That's where we use game width from. It's telling it to go from source x, which is 0, to game width, which is 800, and source y, which is 0, to game height, which is 500, and 500 right here. So basically, it's telling the canvas right there, source x, source y, game width, game height. It's going to draw from here to here. It's going to grab that picture, our background. That's exactly what we want. If we messed up on the y and told it to go down here, then it could draw our jets in, and we don't want that at the bottom of our game. That would just look weird. Okay, that's where game width and game height go for this one, and source x, source y. So now you guys know what this means, and we're going to be using this a lot because that's how you draw a picture basically from a sprite. Now, draw x and draw y. This is basically the same thing. You could think of it as, let's see, the source for the canvas actually. We're telling the canvas to draw a sprite from source X, source Y to game width to game height, and we're going to draw it at, starting at, draw X and draw Y. So on the canvas, we want to start it at 0x and 0y. That will start our background right at this top corner. And basically, same thing with the game width and game height. It's telling it to draw it from draw X, draw Y, all the way down to game width, game height. Now, you could just put in zeros here, 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 and here. But I just did this so you guys kind of understand better how it works and why it works, kind of. Now, if you guys played around with this a bit, actually, let's just go and try and run it. So we're going to press refresh, and look at that. There's our picture. So basically, it told it to draw from source X, source Y. It grabbed the picture from the sprite, source X, source Y, down to game width, game height. And it's telling the canvas to start at draw X, draw Y, and draw for the whole width of the game and the whole height of the game. And that's how you grab a picture from it. So you'll see how this pertains to it more when we start drawing the jet and the bullets and stuff. But yeah, so that's the basics of how to draw that. And again, guys, I just did this so you guys understand where the numbers are coming from. Later, these numbers won't be the same at all. The source X, source Y will be different from source X, draw Y, and they'll be different from each other as well, the X and the Y's. Now, up here, if you guys didn't really understand this, we told the canvas that we're going to be using an image. We told the canvas where to find the image, the sprite, and we're telling the canvas that when the picture loads, the sprite loads, then we call draw. If we didn't have this line, it would not show the picture. See, at all. It's just blank. Basically, we're telling the canvas to draw the picture when it's safe to. And if a picture isn't loaded, it can't draw the picture at all. So when the picture loads, draw the background, which is right here, and we're drawing it on the context background. Just like that, guys, and that is how you do it for the beginning of the background. So I think that's it for this tutorial, guys. Next one, we are going to be going over how to draw the jets and get started with that stuff. So stay tuned for number 9, guys. And if you like it, press the like button or subscribe. Thanks, guys.